Yeah. So it's just like you're pretty much in. And that's what happens nowadays too, is you get X amount of international students that get in, you have X amount of athletes that get in, and then X amount of what do you call the
Legacy.
legacy students that get in.
Yeah.
So the pool's even smaller, and it's crazy because you go in, and I remember this feeling of orientation, like, hey, it wasn't like this in the past, but now it's, hey, you made it. Like the acceptance rate is so low. How'd you get in? You're awesome. Pat on the back, pat on the back, pat on the back.
Welcome to the club.
Exactly. But before, Will was saying how because he went to Yale, right? He went to Yale in his undergrad, I think.
I don't know.
He went to some Ivy League school. I think it was Yale. And there it was totally different mentality in the 80s. It was, hey, we accepted you, but we could have easily accepted 10 of you. There were so many qualified applicants. You have to earn your spot. You have to really just love education and buy into this. And it's fallen off since then.
So it's changed a lot. And in the sense, because I think Welcome to the Club was directly from the last chapter. But it's like once you're in the door, it's very hard to get kicked out. You see this at the Ivy Leagues. You see it at the most elite where it's like, the gentleman's B or like everyone, there's grade inflation, like everyone does well because you're in the club. And then many say, this was also a direct quote from the book, like, oh, we're not entitled, we work hard. But the fact of the matter is there are, like you just said, there are many people just like you working just as hard, if not harder, that don't have that opportunity to go to the elite school. I think Naval says it a lot too. Naval Ravikant, basically like that corner grocery store clerk or owner is working just as hard, if not harder than, my mom, the doctor, or you, the startup founder.
I mean, yeah, you see me and I'm just listening to this book on my bed all day.
Right.
It's yeah, I don't want to say it's just working. In Naval's case, I think he says it under the context of working smarter, like work where you have leverage.
Right.
But yeah, everyone's working hard. It's just different types of work. Like maybe there's a kid going to Reed College, but he's paying his way through school by working at McDonald's. Like he's working hard too.
Right.
There's so much, but I do think what you said with once you're in, it's so hard to get kicked out. Like I've seen it. I've seen.
Oh, I meant metaphorically, but also physically. Yeah.
Well, not like for bad at whatever. For like you can't fail a class at Brown. We just don't put it on your resume or on your transcript, I should say.
There's so many like checks in place to make sure you look your best, so Brown looks its best, and right. I'm sure all the others.
It's interesting too because you look at it and it all starts from just us not having the church and the state fund it means we're businesses, means today everything is just money related. Like this is the most quotable book I think I've ever read. He's just a great author. Will is
this one?
Yeah, I love it. I have so many quotes I couldn't even write them down because there are too many. But he's like, instead of I should have written it down.
I might remember.
Instead of humanities, we have amenities. And so his big push, I guess we didn't summarize it properly, but like we're very STEM focused and very vocationally focused. And it's a problem because we're training people who can't think for themselves. Like, can you imagine going into a class and the teacher's like, all right, well, here's the problem set for this week. And you're like, well, why?
Literally.
Can you imagine asking a teacher, why are we doing this problem set? I've always, every single time I get it, probably because I'm lazy, but like people don't question. They're just like, they already hand it back. Yeah. And who was I listening to? I was listening to some podcast and they're like, they had their students listen to the Gettysburg Address and the test was like, oh, memorize it and you're going to have to write it down verbatim. And all of the students did it perfectly.
Yeah.
Like we can do that. That's what we're trained to do.
Yeah.
Actually, as we're going on tangent, maybe I have no idea how long this is going. Maybe we'll stop it soon after this because part 2, I want to get into how we would change things. What sort of directions we could go. Hopefully you have time for part 2. But
Yeah.
Why do I distract myself?
Oh,
what the hell was I just saying?
Come on.
You don't listen either.
No, I was. But then you got me starting to think about part 2, things I want to change. And now here I am sitting here thinking about things I want to change.
We're gonna have to
rewind the tapes. Can we talk about research really quick?
Yeah, talk about research.
This is something I found, especially in the physics department, is because professors are so rewarded for doing their research, they've obviously, as a result, started to teach less. One, that means like having fellows or TAs teach things, like not equipped to do that. But we're rewarding professors for doing their research. And so the incentives are just backwards. And then because they're doing that, because they're so preoccupied with their research, we've come to this kind of unspoken agreement between professors and students that, okay, you're going to be gone doing your research, and in exchange, you're going to award higher grades. That's how, like,
I think they termed it in the book the mutual non-aggression pact,
something tacit agreement.
Yeah, basically, it's like, hey, you're going to give us grade inflation, easy A's, yes, and we're going to review you well so that you don't get
exactly. And as you go up and up, especially in physics, I know same in engineering. Ask our friends. As you go up and up, and the classes get smaller and smaller, and the professors are doing more and more intense research, they're spending less time on the classes, less time grading work, less time allocating grades, and it just gets easier to pass classes. It's like the most backwards thing you can think of, and it's hard to find good professors for that reason.